Hello, everybody. I'm going to send this out to everybody. This is the PowerPoint that was presented last night. If you were there, you've heard a lot of this. If you weren't there, I would love for you to be able to watch this. I'm going to be as brief as I can, as succinct as I can, because I know many of you don't have a lot of time to sit down and watch this. So I'm going to get right to it. The first couple of slides, we talked about the number of National Merit semifinalists that we have produced in Madison. And I'm going to brag for the first few minutes of this slide, and then I'm going to talk about what it's going to take to keep us to where we can continue to brag on every one of our kids. But we produced the most National Merit semifinalists in the state. There's 45 in all of North Alabama, and 30 of them came from Madison City Schools. Bob Jones and James Clemens were tied for first in the state with 15 each. That was the most by any school in the state, and both of them had 15. And then as a district, producing 30 was the most of any district, and we're very proud of that. Madison City Schools, we have been at the top in academics and in the arts and athletics for a number of years, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm going to show you that what it's going to take for us to stay at the top in the future and to stay where we've been. You can look at the slide and see some of the great accomplishments. I'm not going to talk about them because you can look at them in the slide, but we want to continue to lead the state in these things. One thing that we want to continue to improve in is our academic offerings to our students. And in order to do that, we're going to have to continue to grow and find new revenue sources, and that's the major impetus of this of me sending this out to you. We want every child in Madison City Schools to be fluent in a second language by graduation. We want to continue to offer advanced math classes to our elementary school kids. We've done that. Starting this year, we dropped advanced math down into the 5th grade. We want to continue to do that into the 4th and to the 3rd grade, all the way to the 3rd grade. And obviously we offer advanced math classes from 6 to 12. By moving the 6th graders up, we were able to do that. So we want to continue to do that with math, and we want to add STEM classes in every elementary school. We don't have that right now, but it's going to take more funding to do that. And whereas we've already started some of these programs in the last couple of years, and we already have these programs in secondary schools, we want to continue to grow that. And we want to continue to offer opportunities for all of our kids. We send about 88% of our kids to college, but 12% to 15% choose to do something different. That's wonderful. And we want to continue with career tech opportunities for all students, but for students that choose a different career path than maybe the traditional post-secondary. But we do have challenges, everyone, and that is we're growing so fast that we've got to figure out a way to fund this tremendous growth. On this slide right here, you can see that we're one of Alabama's fastest growing districts. We have doubled in size from 1998 till 2018. We've more than doubled our student population, and that comes with a tremendous cost to our resources. One thing, and I hope that I can explain this in a very short period of time, is that the way that we're funded from the state does not help growing school districts, and we are being the fastest growing school district, one of the fastest growing school districts in the state of Alabama. The way that we're funded from the state hurts us. The way that we're funded is we're funded on our population of last school year, not our population this year, and so we're given the proper amount of teachers for what we needed in the 17-18 school year. Well, this is 18-19. And over the summer, we grew over 400 kids. So there's 400 kids that we're not getting any funding for. Now, we'll get that funding next school year, but every year we're growing 300. So every year between 300 and 400 kids are come to us, and we're not funded for them. And so we have to fund that locally with local tax dollars, and that hurts us. We are working with legislators. We have been for a number of years without any success, very frankly, to try to get this changed to where we're not funded in arrears, but where we're funded real time, and that would certainly help us. But that we're working with legislators and have been and will continue to do that. Because we're such a fast-growing district, and because we have such a high house payment, let me explain to you. Just note, our school finances are in some ways no different than your personal finances. We have a very high house payment. If you have a high house payment, some people say I'm house poor. Well, we're house poor. Because we've had to build so many new schools and add on to schools over the last 20 years, we have a really high house payment. Our mortgage right now is $165 million. That's our debt. And so because of that, we have an extremely high student to teacher ratio, or teacher to student ratio, either way. You can look back all the way to the year 2000 and to right now. There's 136 districts in the state right now. We're 129. I'm not proud of that. We've got the 129th worst class size ratio in the state of Alabama. So we are really close to the bottom and have been for 20 years. Because we have the best teachers in the state, we have continued to thrive, but their class sizes are really, really high, and that's something I want you to be aware of that we work with. Our per pupil spending, we're not a rich district. In our town, many people do really well, and we are blessed, and I'm thankful for that. But our per pupil spending is 82nd in the state, and the reason is, again, because we have so much house payment debt that we're not able to spend on students the way that many other districts can, and it's because of our tremendous growth. We have been very good stewards. The boards, from the beginning of Madison City Schools, 1998 through 2018, the boards, Dr. Clark is our first superintendent, Dr. Fowler is our second superintendent, and then now I want you to see that I've been a good steward, as well as every board of education been very, very good stewards with our tax dollars. We've got a lot of bang for our buck, for lack of better verbiage. On this slide, you can see what all has been built since 1998. I'm not going to name off every facility, but you can look at it and see we have built a lot in 20 years, and we've had to build this, and they're full now. We've not built them to build prettier buildings or tired of a building, we're going to get a new building. We have built it just simply to have a place for the kids to sit, and we're running out of room. I'll talk more about running out of room in just a minute. I do want to thank the mayor and the city council. They have been very receptive to listening to our cries from the wilderness to say that we're running out of room and that uncontrolled growth hurts Madison City Schools. But the school board sent the city council a resolution asking them to stop annexing in Limestone County until the tax dispute in Limestone County was settled. They did that, and we're very thankful to our mayor and to our city council for that. They listened to us. We also explained how the school system did not receive the same level of property tax support for identical houses in Limestone versus Madison County. They understood that rapid growth in Limestone County hurt us, and they've been very receptive to that. You can look at this slide and see that the exact same house in Madison County and Limestone County, the citizens pay the same tax rate if the house is exactly the same and pays the exact same house payment, all Madison City taxes. The Limestone County citizen, the Madison County citizen, they do exactly the same. It's not the citizens. I don't even want to use the word fault, but it's not an indictment on citizens. The people, the citizens of Limestone County, Madison City, pay the exact same as Madison County, Madison City. The difference is the value of a meal in Limestone County is not as valuable as the value of a meal in Madison County. And you can look and see that on this slide that Madison City Schools receives $2,106 per student from a student that lives in Madison County, and $1,404 per student from a student that lives in Limestone County. The mayor, about a year ago, created a growth impact committee. I was on the committee. The mayor was on the committee, and we had very, very smart people. It was chaired by Dr. Terry Johnson, former school board president, Madison City Schools, and Mr. Mike Potter, former city councilman. Two Madison people who know the ins and outs and runnings of our city, and but we pulled together a committee of a number of very, very intelligent people in this community, and they came up with these assertions that they know that these things are going to happen. They know, no different than we know, that within the next 3 years, Madison City Schools is going to run out of space in the next 2 to 3 years. Even if no more land is annexed, for sure we're going to run out of room. And at the elementary and middle school, no matter what happens with what's here now, we know that once the population hits 65,000, we're going to need a third high school. Population is at approximately 50,000 right now. We know that just building schools without factoring the cost of operations is going to cost somewhere between 11 and 20 mills of taxes. There are, staying on the slide, I want to tell you real quick, and then we'll move on into some of the buildings, that an elementary school and a middle school and additions to both James Clemens and Bob Jones, which we know right now that's at a minimum. We've got to do those things. That's about $100 million price tag. It's and I'll break that down for you in just a minute. If we have to build a third high school, which we know for sure, again, we're going to have to build an elementary and a middle, and if a third high school is something we have to do, as opposed to adding on to James Clemens and Bob Jones, then it's going to be over $200 million. And so we know $100 million is a non-negotiable. I mean, it's going to happen. Whatever happens, we've got to have those. And so that's just sort of where we're at. So what do we need? We need a new elementary school. An estimated cost is approximately $34 million. We want to continue to grow the PreK program. I've spent a lot of time in the state of the schools talking about the PreK program. Right now, we have 265 kids in our PreK program. Our data shows, as does everybody's, as does the state's data, that our students that go through Madison City Schools PreK are more prepared and do better academically in first grade or in kindergarten, once they get out of PreK going into kindergarten. Then ultimately, as they move on, the kids that go through the Madison City PreK are more successful than if they don't go through Madison City PreK. We want to continue to grow our PreK program. Like I said, we've got 265 students right now in our PreK program. We've turned away 150 to 200 every year. We feel like we could easily grow that as our city grows to 500 students. We feel like the best place to do this is to convert West Madison Elementary School, which is our smallest elementary school, and make that a PreK. And we feel like we can fill that up really quickly. It's somewhat in the center of town for both people on the east side and west side. We've already outgrown by a good bit the PreK Center on Nance Road, and so we've got to find room to grow the PreK. And we feel like that is something that will keep Madison City Schools as one of America's best school systems. We've got to have a new middle school. Right now, as of today, we only have between Liberty and Discovery, we only have 180 empty seats between the two schools. We will outgrow both middle schools within the next couple of years. We're growing. I don't know what else to say. An estimated cost is approximately $49 million. At the middle schools, we also, one thing that we've heard from our community is they need performing arts space. Right now, we've got in the elementary schools, we have tremendous performing arts programs that are springing up, doing plays and other things. We don't have anywhere for them to perform. In the elementary schools, at least they've got the lunchroom after school. In the middle schools, they've got nowhere to. They've got one gym. They've got 1,300 kids at both schools, and they can't even use the gyms. And so this is something that I can tell you as in watching Madison City Schools grow. When Bob Jones, of course Bob Jones was the only high school in Madison for a number of years until 2012. But as the arts programs grew at Bob Jones High School, Bob Jones changed. It changed from being an average school to one of America's best schools. We had already become a really good academic school. Athletically, we were pretty good. But I can tell you, the arts is what put us over the edge. And I'm a firm believer in the arts. And we need performing arts spaces at the middle schools. And we feel like we can do that for a very reasonable cost, building possibly small black box theaters at both Liberty and Discovery, as well as at the new middle school when we build that. And the cost of those would be very minimal as compared to, we're not talking about big auditoriums. We're just talking about small performance spaces that can be used by the middle schools as well as the elementary schools if needed. Next, let's talk about the high school additions. Right now, in this presentation, I'm not asking you to foot the bill for a new high school because we don't know what our population is going to get to. We're at 50,000 right now. At 65,000, that's sort of the tipping point. We feel that's I don't feel like the data shows that at 65,000 we're going to need a third high school. We don't know what the city's going to do. We don't know how much it's going to grow. We just don't know. And so right now we're saying we know if nothing else happens that we're going to need approximately $10 million, $9 million per high school, James Clemens, Bob Jones, to add additions onto both of them. That would seat 500 more students at both James Clemens and Bob Jones. That would make the capacity at both schools 2,700. That would be two big schools. They're already two large schools. I don't mean they're too big. They're already two large schools. It would make them two very large schools. But even with the 500 seat capacity, it would not make them the largest high schools in the state. They would be in the top 5. Right now, they're in the top 10. But that's where we're at right now. We would need, at a minimum, with no more annexation, in the next 7 years, we would need additions at both James Clemens and Bob Jones. One thing that was not on our radar a number of years ago, it's certainly on everybody's radar right now, is safety and security. And I say that it was on our radar, but certainly not like it is today. And now we've got a mental health counselor at every school in Madison City Schools. That cost us. We have to pay for. We have to pay for their salaries. We've got a school resource officer. We've got a school resource officer at both high schools. In fact, we've got 2 at both high schools. We've got school resource officers in the middle schools, and we've got school resource officers in the elementary schools. We need more coverage, and to fully staff it, it's going to be right at $1 million. To fully staff it right now, it's going to be $750,000. But we know with growth, it will certainly jump up around the $1 million mark as we get at least growth onto the high schools and a new middle and a new elementary. We know that's going to go up. So what's it going to cost? This is what everybody's been waiting for. What we're saying is that it's going to cost 12 mills of additional property tax. We think it'll take 10 mills for a new elementary and middle school. It'll cost $1 mill for high school additions, and then $1 mill will lead to the new instruction programs and safety. So, what does it mean when we talk about $1 mill? We're talking about property taxes. The next slide talks about homeowners, the how much a meal would cost you. If you look at this slide, you can see that if the assessed value of your home is $100,000, a 12 mil property increase would cost you approximately $120 a year. You can do the math monthly or daily or whatever. I'll just jump down to $400,000. You can see it's approximately $480 a year. Again, you can break that out monthly, and that's how much it would cost you. So, depending on how you look at it, you could say that's extremely insignificant. If I'm paying $10, $20, $30, $40 a month, some people may say, it's very significant, and that's just something as a taxpayer you've got to look at. I live in the city of Madison. We're asking the community to look at and to think about this 12 mil property tax increase. But I promise you, I live here in the city of Madison. My children live in the city of Madison, and we're implementing this on ourselves. We're asking ourselves to think about it also. What does 12 mils cost to me? We thought this was a very good slide for you to look at. And again, on the home value of $200,000, we'll jump $100,000. It's 30 cents a day, 260 cents a day, 66 cents a day. And again, you can just look and see if your home's worth $100,000, it would cost you approximately $10 a month, $20 a month. If it's $200,000, $30 a month, $300,000. Y'all can see this, and up to $1 million. You can do the math yourself. This next slide is one that I'm very proud of, and that is, and I think it really shows us, is really telling, is the average sale price for a home in Madison over the last 19 years. In 1999, the average sale price was $163,000. We know that inflation has occurred. I don't say that no inflation's occurred over the last 20 years, but home prices, the average sale of a home price has been raised over $100,000, about $110,000. Let me tell you, I'm biased, and I admit it. I am a Madison City guy, and I love Madison City schools, and I love Madison City. But I can tell you that I truly believe with all my heart this is a big result, is a big reason for this is because of the success of Madison City Schools. I think that everybody listening to this, I don't know that anybody could disagree with me on that. I've heard people say, well, it's our location of the Arsenal. I think it has something to do with it, but there's a lot of places in North Alabama that have great locations to the Arsenal. We're not the only one, but Madison's continued to grow, and the average sale of a home price has gone up, and it's because of the school system, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And if we want to stay as one of if we want to keep our school system as one of America's best, we've got to we've got to make a plan. We've got to find another revenue source, because right now the growth is unsustainable, and we're at a critical juncture. Question right here is, will I be rezoned? Well, the answer is you very well may be rezoned if you live in the city of Madison. One of the cornerstones of the city of Madison is this: we have no schools that are rich schools or poor schools or have schools or have not schools. Every one of our schools demographically, and when I say demographically, I'm talking about economic demographics. Every one of our schools are exactly the same, or real close to. I'm not going to say exact, but they're awful close to being the same. And the way that we've done this is we've rezoned strategically to make sure that every school is demographically the same. There have been a lot of people with a lot of courage for the last 20 years that have said we're going to stand firm to make every school equal. I think you all know that we're the only school in the state that last year that got an A on the report card in every single school. We're not the only school, I take it, but only school system. We're one of two school systems in the state, Mountain Brook and Madison. We're the only two that every single school got an A on the state report card. And the reason is, one of the great reasons is because every school is equal. There are no haves and are no have-nots. So we're very proud of that. So could you be rezoned? Possibly. but I will tell you that it will be much less invasive if we're able to continue to grow and build new schools where the growth is. If we have to start moving people around just to find seats to sit in, rezoning could be often and extremely invasive, and that is not what we want. So if we're able to build new schools where growth is, as we have done through the years, then there may be some periodic small rezones, but if not, I could see us having to do some really large rezones to try to just find spots for people to sit in, and that would only take care of us for a little bit. We want your feedback. There are going to be community meetings on October 3rd at Horizon and then October 23rd at Heritage. We want your feedback. We want you there. The board and I are going to carry we're going to carry this out to PTA meetings, so please be looking for PTA announcements, and we're going to bring this to you and show it to you at your schools. So we look forward to seeing you at PTA meetings or at the community meetings, and we want your feedback. We've got a strategic plan page on our website. Please go to that strategic plan page, and there's a feedback form, and just tell us your feedback. Let us know what you think. Thank you so much for listening. I've tried to be as brief and as succinct as I can. If you have any questions, please call, send an email, or just go and give us your feedback. Thank you.